Ford 4.2 liter alternator replacement. This is an 03 F150. This will apply to a 97 to 03 and an 04 Heritage model. I'm going to come over here and disconnect the negative battery cable. It's an 8mm. Get that aside where it won't come back up and hit it. Just doing a little cleaning here. You don't have to do this. Never a bad idea to clean, especially when you have an electrical issue with the car. Straight down here, locate your tensioner pulley. I have a 15mm wrench on it. I'm going to turn it counterclockwise to take the tension off the belt. And then I'm going to reach up here and slide the belt off of the alternator. Okay, it's off of there. Once again, I just grabbed onto that 15mm nut that I showed you on the tensioner pulley. Rotated it counterclockwise, straight in the middle of the camera. And with my left hand, I just pulled the belt off of here and let it fall down, and then I slowly released the tensioner. Next, I'm going to come back here on the back of the alternator, take this connector off here. With my left hand, I'm going to grab the connector and pull back. With my right hand, I'm going to get a little pick in here and pry against the lever here. Just something like that. Give it a little pressure to release the clip there and pull back. Kind of popped off there. Make sure that your orange gasket is still on here. And that's what the little clip looks like on the alternator. That's what you're trying to get it pried back against. Same thing here, but in reverse. The clip is on this end, and you're just going to want to reach in and pry it up and just gently pull up against the connector. That's what it looks like there. That one was a little tricky. I just reached in. This is how it goes on the car. I just reached in from this side and pulled outward on that tab there. Kind of had it in there like that, and I pulled outward and then pulled out. Let's get this little rubber boot off of here. Okay. There's going to be a nut holding this wire on. You're going to want to get that nut off. It's a 10mm. Oh, there we go. There it is. Okay, next I'm going to start taking the mounting hardware off. If you look straight ahead here, there's a blurry picture. There's a nut right there holding that AC bracket on. So I'm going to get to that, get that nut off. In order to do that, you might have to push this line out of the way. But that'll give you clearance to get that nut off. Okay. That nut is a 13mm. You'll need at least a mid-deep because there's a stud around it. There, that goes through it, I should say.
I don't know exactly what the hell it does.
Sorry for the cursing in the background there. That wasn't me. There we go. Kind of gives you some clearance here. Now you can take the mounting hardware off. 15mm, I believe. Let me check. 15 will work. It's got a little slop in it, but a 14 is too small, so ideally it's likely some standard size, not metric, but 15 will work for you. Got one mounting bolt here, one mounting bolt there, and one mounting stud right there. Okay, let's get those three off.
That route near the electric brake booster.
Lots of background noise here today, guys. There we go. That one's loose. There we go. Make sure you put the stud back in the right spot there. All right, I'm going to get the other two now. Oh, fell off. There we go. Number 2. Number 3. The alternator may start to twist on you there. Mine just turned because it's the last bolt. There we go. And now, in theory, careful with the DPFV right here, the connector. Okay, there it is. All right, let's set it next to the new one here. All right, make sure on the 4.2 liter, make sure you count the amount of ribs on your pulley here. Make sure it's the same. You might have to swap it over if it's different. These are both 5 rib pulleys for me, so I don't need to swap anything over. But if you do, get an impact and take these nuts off, the nut off. And then if you have a puller, you can pull the pulley off. If you don't have a puller, you try to get a little pry bar back here and run the nut down a few threads and hit the nut with a hammer. Try to nudge the pulley off. But once again, mine match, and I don't need to do that. Just give it a general look over here. Make sure everything is identical. Okay, a little bit of a different design here, but that's fine. This is a new alternator. That's what I recommend if you can find one. The remans seem to have a lot of issues, the rebuilt ones. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this in the car, or truck. I'm going to use both hands here. Okay, get it up in here. Line up the bolt holes right here. Zoom in, please. Line up the bolt holes. Get the bolts started by hand, but at least 8 or 10 turns. Okay, all 3 bolts are ran down by hand, about 10 threads. I'm going to tighten them down. I believe the torque spec's 30 to 35 foot-pounds on that. Just going to snug them down with this first and then torque them by hand. Just get them about as tight as they were when you took them off. Roughly 30 to 35 foot-pounds. 2 grunts. 35. There we go. Get that nut on there. Please. There we go. All right, there's the nut. It's on there. Tighten it down now. Ooh, stay on there straight. Okay, torque doesn't really matter on this one. Just need to get it tight. That nut there. All right, that's tight. My new alternator came with a new nut for the strap here for the cable. I'm going to take that off. Oops. There we go. Get that on here. Ooh, get this out of the way so you can see. Get the nut on. Get this boot where it's not going to get smashed. Okay, get that nut. I checked, and this one is also a 10 millimeter. So get that on there, and I don't need any different sockets for that. Run it down. Get you zoomed in here. I'm sorry for the pause. There we go. Okay, that's good and tight. I wouldn't go over 100 inch-pounds on it. Get this boot pushed down. There we go. Get it on top of the nut where it's completely covering it. Okay, it's on. Alright, next, don't forget your 2 electrical connectors here. Make sure your release tab here on this connector that my thumb's on, is pointing towards the back of the vehicle. And it should slide right in. There we go. Click. Take this one, same thing, except the release tab is going to be toward the front of the vehicle like this. Click. Alright. Okay, with my left hand I've got the belt. With my right hand I'm going to reach in on that tensioner right there. See that 15 millimeter nut on the tensioner pulley? Okay, with my right hand I'm going to pull the tensioner counterclockwise with using that nut on the tensioner pulley. And that is going to give me slack in the belt, and I'm going to wrap it around the alternator pulley. Okay, you got it? So getting this belt on is going to be the most difficult part of the job. Here's the routing diagram in case you lose track. And here's the components labeled 1 through 9. And once again, here's that 1 through 9. It's also right here under the hood of your truck. An extra set of hands comes in handy here. I had somebody underneath holding the belt on the pulleys, and up here I was releasing the tensioner and getting everything on. Once again, that's the diagram. That's the AC And that concludes it. Get your battery cables back on. Drive the car, make sure the battery light's off and it's charging okay. You might need to charge the battery if it was depleted. Okay? But that's it. Have a great day. I hope this helps.